And I saw that and I was like, that was kind of Burrow-esque, watching Sam get through that as fast as he did.
Cool. Let's talk some football. It's trade deadline day. There's a ton of cool stuff to discuss. Let me start here before we get to the trade deadline. How many Super Bowl contenders are there? We're almost halfway through the year. How many legitimate Super Bowl contenders are there in the NFL? And obviously the follow-up question to that will be, are the Seahawks one of them? But how many do you think there are?
Well, I'll answer the second part. Yes, the Seahawks are absolutely one of them. And I think I would say there's more this year, just because I don't think there's a team, this isn't a year where you're looking at a Chiefs team. We've seen them at times, be undefeated at this point in the year, or, even Philly's got off to some incredible starts and they looked a little bit like a juggernaut. I don't think we have that this year. So I would say there's anywhere from, 8 to 9, maybe even stretch it to 10. I think there's more this year than we wouldn't have in a normal year.
And the Seahawks in that grouping?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. I've kind of had them as a team that I thought's the most complete. And by the way, I know we have other stuff to cover and talking about trade deadline, but Brock, you got me so excited when you texted me this morning and about this whole top 7 Seahawks thing. And I want to layer beyond that, which I'm excited to get to. But
look at DJ. I just said, hey, heads up.
Gave me homework right before class started.
I said, we're just talking about most irreplaceable Seahawks. It may come up.
It's an old exercise. Yeah, Brock and I have done this exercise every year. Or I think I remember doing it all the way back, talking Earl Thomas at some point and saying, hey, he might be the most.
Zach Thomas or Zach Miller, the tight end. Yeah. We did it all the way back in 10 and 11.
Yeah, just look, because it takes into account not just how good the player is, but also what you have behind them, the importance of the position. Like, what would you do if you lost? All right, so did you sketch out a most irreplaceable
list? Did he do that? He did even more.
What'd you get?
I did this
Let's
first
compare
part
notes.
of it, and then I'm curious to see where we go, because it is a balance between that of what's behind him and how would you survive, the importance of the position. We used to do this in training camp every year when I was scouting. We would sit there and go through literally all 32 teams. And my buddy who I worked with for a while at NFL Network, he would do the exercise. He called it the Jenga piece. Like if you pulled this piece out, that the whole thing would collapse. So it's a great fun exercise. So I put down my 7, and it kind of, it's, I'm curious to see where you guys landed on it. But obviously I started with Sam because it's the quarterback and you start there. I went to JSN number 2. I went to Leonard Williams number 3. I went to his running mate Byron Murphy as number 4. I went with, and this is about the importance of the position as much as anything else, I went with Cross at number 5. And this is where it became challenging, because I had 4 guys for 2 spots. But I ended up going, for me, and I'm saying like this, to win a championship, I think you need these 2 guys, and you need these 2 guys to play at a high level. I went Eamon and Spoon, who's my 6 and 7.
All right. Well, we start off similar, and then it changes quite a bit.
I had Zabel and Lucas were my next 2.
There you go.
Yeah, see, that's where we went. So, yeah, we both agreed on Sam and JSN. I had Cross 3rd, and Leo 4th, but Brock and I kind of talked through it. We're like, it could go either way. We kind of had them both in that range. And maybe the reasoning on Cross ahead of Leonard is just what you have behind him. Like, they got enough of a rotation at defensive line to survive short term without Leonard Williams. I don't know what happens if Charles Cross goes out. Like, I don't know what that looks like.
Oh, no, he got hurt. Joe Alt. No, he got hurt. Rashawn Slater. No, he got hurt.
Yeah, what happens?
Number 8 and 9.
Yeah.
There with the Chargers right now.
I don't know what Josh Jones looks like in a game. I know that's the direction they'd go, but that would make me pretty nervous. It's interesting that you went with Murphy and Eamon and Spoon. We've seen it without Eamon and Spoon.
Yeah, but I to me, to get where you want to go, to get through the gauntlet, I think you need to have your guys that can play at a blue chip level, that can make difference making plays in those big games. And those guys, you can survive it's just like we've talked about it with the baseball thing, like there's the 162 player and then there's the playoff player. And I think when you get in the NFL playoffs, you need your difference makers. I think those guys can be major difference makers.
The one name, because we then had Zabel and DeMarcus Lawrence, because we saw what it looked like without DeMarcus, and it was not pretty. The one guy that I think we had on here that you did not mention at all is Ernest Jones. And just, again, some of that is what's the depth behind him. Seeing him.
And we watched this defense without linebackers for some years. We watched it even the first 7 games of last year without a linebacker that fit Mike McDonald, without the run fit, without the voice, without settling down the second level. And it was a little scary operation at times without a linebacker within this scheme and what Mike asks of it.
No, he's a really good player. I can't fight you on that one. I probably went a little more with the traditional value of the position, and that's why you don't see the running backs on there. You don't see
why Byron Murphy over Jaron Reed? Out of curiosity.
To me, I think he run and pass is such a difference maker, and I think he plays off Leonard so well. I think their skill sets match up so well with one another. So,
could you go into a little more depth? What does that mean to have their skill sets match up?
Well, I just think you've got Leonard can be a bull, who is just so powerful and can be a bull and move guys around. And Byron Murphy can win on edges of blockers. Like he can use his quickness, and he can still leverage obviously underneath guys and those things. But I think it's like you've got kind of the big physical, bull for lack of a better words, and you've got the quickness of Murphy to kind of play off of that. You want to run games, anything you want to do. I think they marry up very well together. Whereas Jaron, to me, is he's a lesser version of Leonard. Like they're similar, a little more similar in terms of physical structure and play style.
Did you get home in time to watch this game Sunday night? Because I know most of the time, you're busy and games on same time, and you're watching all the All-22 and the coaching tape afterwards. Do you actually get to watch and hear any of this Sunday night?
So we were on the plane, and the Wi-Fi was a little spotty. We were delayed for 2 hours getting out of Nashville because it's the air traffic controller stuff that's going on. But so we're up in the air, and there's one of the guys who works in the media who's on the plane is from the Washington D.C. area, and he's a huge Commanders fan. So I'm just sitting there. I think I'm watching an episode of like the morning show or something. I got nothing else I can do here, and he comes in and just like he holds up his phone. And he shows me Sam Darnold's line because he knows I'm a Sam Darnold guy. And it was the halftime line, and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to go on the radio this week. This is fantastic." Yeah. And then watching the tape was really fun.
Yeah, let's go there. Take the tape next level. Everyone sees the numbers. What 17 first 17. Of course, it was a fade route that Salk and I love on 3rd and 1 that was incomplete. But take me through the tape from your perspective.
Yeah, to me the ball placement was as good as it's ever been. The decision making, the processing was so quick. There was a play on there where they go empty, and he gets to number 3 so fast in the progression that the first thing I wrote down was just vision, poise, and then I reluctantly put this down, but I was like, that's as Joe Burrow, peak Joe Burrow looking play as you'll see. What they would do with Burrow is they'll empty it out because he can see and process so fast. And I saw that, and I was like, that was kind of Burrow-esque, watching Sam get through that as fast as he did. But I thought the play design was excellent. He's accurate on the move. The touchdown, not the 7 route, not the easy layup to Horton, but the one where he threw it as he's just kind of got him on his back, and the trust to be able to get that out early in the back of the end zone and just put it right on his numbers. That just shows you a player who's playing with supreme confidence.
Have you followed any of this Greg Olsen commentary where he said the Seahawks aren't a good running team? They're a team that throws well out of heavy personnel. And I understand kind of what he's trying to say. That has been where a lot of their success has come. But I don't feel like that's like their goal necessarily, is to be a team that throws the ball all over the yard, but with heavy personnel. What would be your reaction to kind of the idea that that's what they are?
Every good team in the league right now is doing the same thing. They're all out there in heavy personnel, and that's where they're getting their chunk plays with their passing game. Like everybody's doing that. That's where you're trying to get your single high safety looks, which you can attack more vertically, and you do that by manipulating the defense with heavy looks. So that's not just a Seahawk thing. That's everybody across the league that's playing smart offense.
So is that a reaction, DJ? Is that a reaction to all of the too high safety that showed up the last few years?
Yeah, that's how you get them out of it. That's all we've seen. So you want to be out there in 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see they're going to try and limit explosives. They're going to play shell coverage. And so what teams have now realized was, okay, we can get them out of that by formation. We're going to put extra tight ends out there, and we're going to simplify the looks, and we're going to let our guys win one-on-one in that when we get those looks. And so that's not just a Seahawk thing. That's across the league. By the way, you didn't let me get to my expanded
I'm sorry. Yeah,
area of this thing. So I want to go with look at your list. Look at your list, guys.
All right.
So the 2024 champion, which was the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to give you their 7 guys from their Super Bowl lineup last year, and I want to see how you feel like the Seahawks stack up. You ready?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with them, I wrote down Saquon, Lane Johnson. You can put Jalen Hurts in, wherever you want to slide him in. Jalen Carter, Quinion Mitchell, Zach Bond, A.J. Brown. So that's the 7 that I came up with. Within the 2 alternates that I gave you was Zabel, and I had Zabel and Lucas. And then for them, I'd put Devontae Smith and Mailata. So if you wanted to expand it to 9, you could expand it to 9. But how would you feel stacking up against a team that won the trophy last year?
Pretty good.
Not terrible.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a lot of their players. Don't get me wrong. I like Hurts a lot. I like Carter a lot. I mean, obviously,
go position
Lane
to
Johnson's
position.
really
Like
good. But
I mean, obviously Saquon is he's the X factor because I like the backs in Seattle, but there's nobody that's close to Saquon. But if you look at the Lane Johnson, I would give the edge at the tackle position. But D tackle wise, that's a fair fight.
Yep.
Corner wise, receiver wise, I would lean JSN. Quarterback wise, I would lean towards Sam the way he's playing right now and what he can do.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's interesting to see if you think you have a championship level roster.
It's a fair fight.
Fair fight, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're not out of their weight class.
Last week I was mentioning just because the numbers are so similar between Stafford and Sam. I mean, Stafford's thrown a few more touchdowns. Sam's had a few more explosive plays, but similar systems, obviously similar backgrounds in that way. But Sam can never have Stafford's arm. Very few on planet Earth have Matthew Stafford's arm, even at nearly 40. But he can, that name you mentioned 5 minutes ago, Joe Burrow. Why can't, and what would be the gap that has to close physically, skill set, traits, everything between a Sam and a Joe Burrow?
It's just, I mean, if you read my reports on both guys, they would read eerily similar coming out of college. With similar strengths. I just think that Joe was drafted and put into a situation where they immediately put him in a spot to utilize his best trait, which is his mind, and follow that up with his accuracy. And they put him obviously with some premier weapons. But I think Sam has taken a while to navigate into a system that fits him that way and the right fit and all those things. But really, it's just Joe has, for the large part, avoided that one play that we talk about with Sam, on a weekly basis. So that would be kind of the one difference is getting that one out of your system.
All right, trade deadline stuff. We are a few hours away. Well, it's almost 9 o'clock, so 4 hours or so away from the trade deadline as we sit. Do you think
a move happened, by the way, while we were chatting? The Raiders moved their receiver to Jacksonville for a 4th and 6, Jacoby Myers.
Okay.
An hour ago, Jordan Schultz tweets that the 2 teams that could have a holy crap moment today are the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks.
So what does that look like? What would a holy crap moment look like for the
Trey
Seahawks?
Hendrickson is the only one that I can think of that would provide that.
Any chance Max Crosby goes?
I don't think so.
What I've heard is financially it is so prohibitive. It is so much of a cash outlay year to year to year that teams budgeting for that and planning that out, and the Seahawks having to pay younger guys, like that's just not gonna.
So their holy crap moment would be at that point Trey Hendrickson.
I guess. I mean, that's the only one I can comprehend that would meet that criteria. I talked to a GM yesterday on the phone about something unrelated, and I said, "You got anything going on trade wise?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I mean, it's the player we're trying to trade sucks. I mean, what am I going to get for him? It's just I mean, just as honest as can be, So he's like, what are we going to swap? I'm going to get a 6 for a 7, It's just he's a little unenthused about what was out there on the trade.
What about a receiver?
Provide.
DJ, if you were to look at a receiver that maybe you've seen already this year, some of these teams that are selling, obviously the Raiders just sold. Cooper Kupp's got a hamstring. We know where he is at this stage of his career. Torrey Horton, every time he gets hit, I kind of hold my breath. I think some Seahawks brass does too. There's kind of been a brittle nature over the course of his career. Dynamic, been unbelievable. I mean, unreal for a 5th-round pick with 6 touchdowns combined. Is there a receiver that DJ has come across this year? Is there the Waddle guy out of Miami? Is there a move in that way that would be a holy crap move?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's talked about Olave as well. Would be fun out of the Saints. But Waddle would be the top of that list, the top tier of that list. I just didn't sound like they were going to do anything. I mean, that's putting a lot of faith in your interim general manager to make that decision. But
tell me about him. I remember him out of college.
Waddle?
Talk to me. Yeah.
Fast. But you can use him. He's not just a vertical guy, slant guy. You can use him on in breakers. Run after catch is going to be his specialty. Obviously, with Tua, he's at his best with, hey, on time, get it on him, let him run with it. And I think Sam has those, similar play style traits in terms of just getting it on him so you can run with it.
We know JSN and Olave can work together. They did very effectively in college. What would it look like? How would someone like Jalen Waddle fit in with JSN and eventually Cooper Kupp and Torrey Horton?
I think he would be a beautiful compliment to him. I just think if nothing else, he would have value even if he didn't catch a ball, just because he's going to create so much space for everybody else. Because you got to respect him and you got to respect his speed. So I think it'd be a fantastic compliment to what they have.
JSN, I mean, holy cow! It honestly.
Good.
Well, you know what it feels like in our market. We talked about this going into the year. We talked about it with our program director. Like, man, move on from DK and like, do we have stars? Sports radio and obviously, marketing and everything else. These teams, you need stars. And here comes Cal Raleigh, right? Who's got a legitimate shot to win the MVP and doing things never done before. JSN right now is on pace for over 2,000 receiving yards. Like he's becoming. I mean, is there not a almost Cal Raleigh metamorphosis to what we're seeing out of JSN?
Well, it's been fun to watch him just graduate from really, really good to like the elite status. I was watching him this last week and I thought, what the underrated aspect of his game is his releases. And I did a project on this several years ago. I did a project and I was just trying to study the top receivers. And I wanted to say, who has the best release in the NFL? Who are those guys? Well, Devontae Adams was up there. But actually, Doug Baldwin was unbelievable off the line of scrimmage. And I'm like, I know he's obviously on another planet as a player right now, JSN is, but Doug was so quick at getting off the line. I'm like, oh, it's kind of interesting how they did that. And then now they're just having fun. I mean, you're lining them up at running back, like just figuring out different ways where they can't get a game plan together for how to slow this guy down, but he wins every kind of way you can win.
Hey, can we all agree now, DJ, that Jacoby Brissett's just better than Kyler Murray?
I mean, I would. I don't know if that's a good Kobe Brissett line or a bad Kyler Murray line, but they both are apropos.
I mean, Jacoby Brissett's fine. Like to me, John Clayton always used to tell me and Brock that a good backup quarterback would win you 3 games and then probably lose you 3 games after that. And that kind of feels like what Jacoby Brissett is at this stage in his career. I like him. I think he's a good player. Probably not somebody you want starting 17 games a year for you. But, I mean, the evidence is pretty clear. When he plays for Arizona, they're better than when Kyler Murray plays.
Yeah, the offense it just hasn't been a good marriage. So, I mean, to me, we used to always talk about backups of, okay, can a guy get us out of a game? Can he get us out of a game, and can we survive for 3 games? And the more you see, the probably less you're going to like. And I'm sure that's probably going to be the case with Jacoby Brissett. You run him out there for 8 games, you're going to realize, okay, we got to get somebody better next year. But it just hadn't fit with this coaching staff. And I don't believe this. I don't think Monty Ossenfort, the GM, was there when they picked Kyler or paid him this last time. So I don't think there's a lot of allegiance there.
Maybe it's not fit. Maybe he's just not very good.
You done with the football stuff, so?
Oh, sure.
I got a more pressing question.
Sorry, yeah. Is this a Clockwork Orange?
Are we done with the football?
Is this back to a Clockwork Orange?
No, absolutely not. No.